So hello, we wanted to take a few minutes and do somewhat of we're going to call this an update video.
Yeah, so you've probably noticed on our YouTube channel, we've started posting some videos, but we went a couple months with no videos. And so we just wanted to give a little bit of an update of why we were away and what we did while we were away.
Kind of like family catch up. So we ended up, as we've told you before, and maybe you figured out by now, that we always come back home to South Georgia for the holidays. So typically for us, that looks like arriving in South Georgia by about mid-November, so before Thanksgiving, and usually staying through the new year. And that was our plan again for this year. So we did get back into Georgia, or home to South Georgia, middle of November. We always schedule that a bit strategically because one of the girls' favorite things to do and traditions, and we like to be home in time for Christmas trees.
So Casey's family does a Christmas tree lot there in their hometown, and they always it's a great time of just being outside, being with one another, and getting to see a lot of people from the community and
sell Christmas trees.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
So we got to do that. We were really excited this year too, because the way it worked out is Kevin's mom and dad and cousin actually came down and spent Thanksgiving in South Georgia with us, and so we were all together for Thanksgiving. We had a big group and a big time for Thanksgiving, and that was a lot of fun as well.
Another thing that we like to do at the Christmas tree lot is watch football, because that Saturday is always a big football weekend. And so the week that we open is the week before Thanksgiving. If you know anything about that's rivalry weekend, and Michigan beat Ohio State. So I got to watch that at the Christmas tree lot.
Yeah. So part of our time in South Georgia always includes we kind of split our time usually between we call it our two homes, where I grew up and then where we lived for about 15 years before we hit the road. And those places are about a little over an hour apart. And so typically for the way we've done it the last few years is we get through Thanksgiving where I grew up, and then for the first usually 2 to 3 weeks in December, we come back to where we lived for about 15 years before we hit the road, and that is our time to do all the things. So everybody goes to the dentist, we catch up orthodontist and hair appointment, any other appointments or annual appointments that we need to do. We usually have a list of people that we're wanting to connect with and spend time with, and so that's always a fun and really busy time. This year we actually had a dinner planned for a lot of our organization supporters, and so we had a lot of things going on and planned in December, and so we got to do that first week of December as planned.
Yeah, time in Georgia is always great because it's time with friends, it's time with family, and so that was no different this go around. It's been great time with friends and family, but things took a little bit of a turn after Christmas.
Well,
before Christmas. Yeah, so they started to turn.
We had our dinner the first week of December, and after that, Caroline started to not feel good. One of the things that we always struggle with as we reinsert ourselves into South Georgia is just the allergens in the environment here because of all the agriculture. And so she began to just get all stuffy and snotty and coughy and all the things that we kind of brace ourselves for when we come here.
And I think the term has been coined, the South Georgia crud, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Just the allergens, we all suffer with it a little bit, but it hit her a little harder this year than normal.
And then typically, we have ways that we deal with that and keep moving, and she just never got better. And about a weekend, she also got this weird rash that looked like chicken pox that came all over her arms, and she continued to feel more and more lethargic, wasn't eating, began to have some GI issues, and so we just never could get her over the hump and get her better. This got us closer to Christmas, and right before Christmas we transitioned back to my dad's and where I grew up, and she again was still very lethargic, having some GI issues. We could never get her well. We actually ended up in the ER twice getting fluids, and where they ran some lab work, and it ended up being the week after Christmas, right before, in between Christmas and New Year's, that the results of some of the lab work caused some concern.
Yeah, and so we ended up being admitted. We left one evening rather late and headed to a children's hospital not far from us.
Central Georgia, and headed there first.
Yeah, so we were admitted there and the tests began.
Yes.
And they ran test after test after test. And
She ended up having to get some blood because her hemoglobin kept dropping, and it was just one thing. They started to do a CT in the ER, started to find out that she was having some significant GI issues that we weren't aware of, and that led us to different scopes and findings, and eventually after 12 days at the Children's Hospital in Central Georgia, they transferred us to Atlanta, to the big Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, which is the big huge children's hospital and healthcare system in Atlanta. It's a very state-of-the-art. There's a new state-of-the-art facility that's about to open. The doctors and the healthcare professionals there in this children's healthcare system are bar none some of the greatest in the nation, so we felt very confident getting there and getting where she could be in the loop there at what Georgians call CHOA, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So we ended up 8 days in the hospital in Atlanta, and we still are on the cusp of a diagnosis, but still don't have a diagnosis. After about 8 days, her immune system and her GI tract had started to settle down enough. They had been able to give her some nourishment through a feeding tube, and they had started to settle down enough that they felt comfortable discharging us to come home and try to go back about a normal life for her.
Yeah.
And
they did that with the understanding that we would then be treated outpatient. And so they began to schedule all of the follow-up appointments that they wanted for Caroline to have, and the list was long. It still is long.
We've checked some of them off.
We've checked some of them off.
One of the biggest things that we have coming up, as you can imagine, all of this put our travel and ministry on hold because we have felt very certain that staying close to and in near proximity to Atlanta and to all of these doctors is the best thing for us to do for now, just to get her stabilized, her health stabilized, and to really figure out what we're dealing with. So we have coming up the middle of March, sort of a big appointment. So there's a pediatric GI doctor that is leading the way on all of her care right now. And one of the things that he asked of us when he began to discuss discharge from the hospital, he said, if you'll give me some time, I think we can come to a clearer diagnosis. And so he asked if we would be willing to get out of the hospital and go outpatient, and then let him scope her again himself the middle of March. And so we have that scheduled. The anticipation is that she's going to be diagnosed with Crohn's disease. That's what everybody thinks we're kind of going at. But they really wanted to make sure that they were honing in on the right diagnosis because of just all the different findings that they found. And so we should know more by the middle of March, we hope, when he does this scope. He's going to go back in and scope her. And so we hope we know more about what we're dealing with. Yeah,
so we have learned about a lot more ologies than we ever thought we would see. Along with our pediatrician, we've had gastroenterologist.
I think that's it.
That may be
I started calling him the GI doctor.
A pulmonologist, a nephrologist, an immunologist.
Yeah,
ophthalmologist.
We still have left to see. We've kind of gotten checked off. We had to reestablish with a new pediatrician, which we've done. The GI doctor, like I said, he's leading the way on her care right now. The immunologist did a bunch of testing, and so we've met with him already and tested. It's fascinating to talk to some of these people and hear them talk in their field and genetics and our immune system and all the different things. And then in March as well, we also will do follow-up and check off with the nephrologist, the pulmonologist, and the ophthalmologist.
Yes. So in all of this, we have been incredibly grateful for how the Lord has gone before us. This onset of this potential disease could have happened in a lot of places. We have been all over the country this year, and it could have happened in a lot of places. It happened to flare up while we were at home and where we were familiar and comfortable.
And where we could quickly get the guidance and help that we needed. So
yeah, and so that was something that we just saw the Lord's hand in that. We're incredibly grateful. Yes, we're trusting in all these doctors and their medical expertise, but ultimately we know that the Lord is in control and taking care of her health, and He is the great physician, and so we're trusting Him in that.
Yeah, so you know, a lot of people ask us what's next or what's kind of on the horizon, and well, the short answer right now is Caroline's health. And so one of the things that, like I said, that we've committed to is just kind of seeing this through, especially this first part of getting her to kind of a baseline, a diagnosis, and then a baseline treatment, and what all that entails. And so we are anxiously awaiting this scope mid-March to hopefully get us on that path to treatment and healing and remission. That's what they call, if she does have Crohn's, you usually have times of flare and remission, and so we want to keep her well and her insides healthy as much as we can and hold her in that place. And so that's kind of what we're going to be doing for now. We're going to be hanging around close to Georgia in different places in different parts. We've done a little bit of we had some travel to Florida that we were supposed to do while she was in the hospital, and so we've gotten to do some of that in between appointments, which was nice. So
yeah, so we'll keep you updated as much as we can, and
yeah, we'll look out for things. We have a lot of content and things that we still want to share with you that we didn't get to, and so we've done some different modifications in the RV while we've been settled down. We've also got some campground reviews for you, or overviews, and so lots of things that we still have going on that we will continue to share about RV life while we kind of are in this season waiting.
Yep.
Well, thanks for tuning in.
We need to go back because this is coming up after all that comes out.
So we still have lots of things about RV life.
We have some things that we posted recently about RV life, and we've got more to come or something.
We'll just say.
Okay.
We still have lots of things about RV life that we'll be sharing with you in this season of sort of waiting for us, and we'll be sure to keep you updated as far as our new health journey as well. So thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.